Andy, I suppose first and foremost, Caelan Doris, Ireland captain, just what do you see or have you seen Caelan to make him captain material?
Yeah, a lot, obviously. To put him in that position is a massive privilege for me, as I'm sure it is for Caelan and his family. So let's recognise that first and foremost. But yeah, he's someone that has been on my mind for certainly through the World Cup and how he's come on as a leader, etc. And how he's dealt with being an international top class player over the years. His story, as it were, from being from his first cap to where he is now as a leader, as a professional, has been astonishing, really, behind the scenes. So therefore, we're excited to give him the reins and let's see what he can do with it.
What kind of leader will he be?
A bit of everything, I hope. Obviously, it's his first time captaining his country, and he's obviously not done that much for Leinster either, barring one a couple of weeks ago, captaining the under-20s. He's someone that's unbelievably professional, very diligent in his own preparation. So therefore, because he's so comfortable in his own skin, he's able to think out of the box as far as helping everyone else with the bigger picture stuff, even the detailed stuff of his teammates, etc. And we've seen that flourish massively over the last couple of years, but more so throughout the World Cup. So he's a very calm, calculated type of individual that will have that reassurance on the rest of the group.
Thanks, Michael. Andy, is there any players not picked due to injury?
Yeah, a few actually. When I did the press conference after Marseille, I honestly didn't know that we had a few doubts. It was only till the next morning actually that these were reared up to me. So Pete's got a bit of a calf injury. That shouldn't take too long, but he's not trained this week at all. Exactly the same for Tadhg Furlong. He's not trained at all, but he'll be expected. We've got a couple of days training next week. They'll both be expected to be back for that, but this was too early. Pardon?
Is a calf?
Calf as well, yeah. And Gary Ringrose is not quite right, and he's another week. He is likely to be back into training as well next week.
And is the same calf for Tadhg that was causing problems over the last one?
Well, he's had a problem with the two, but this is not a serious issue. I'm sure if this was a World Cup final, we could try and push him to get out onto the field.
6 changes quite a lot. Maybe you're thinking behind bringing in.
Giving people another chance. Obviously, the lads that took the field last week to build on that, but also keeping competition in the right places. And like I always say, selection it takes all sorts. All sorts of different permutations go through your mind. When you lose a couple of leaders, do you replace them with a leader or somebody that deserves a chance, etc. Ian Henderson coming onto the bench will help Caelan. I've no doubt of making sure that the changing room feels the way that it should be, with Pete and Tadhg not being there. James Ryan's chomping at the bit to show his worth and start, and Big Joe's ready to compete again, and then obviously Calvin Nash and Jack get another shot at it. Ryan Bird has been playing outstandingly well to start the game. He's obviously been very good for us off the bench. To start the game is a different challenge for him. Craig Casey's been jumping out of his skin and playing well and deserves a start. So for me, I mean, it's a hell of a pack and a good team at that, so it excites me being able to be in that type of position.
Thanks.
Hi Andy, no changes in the back three from last week. Is that down to the quality that Italy have in the back three at the moment?
Well, yes and no. We do tend to focus on ourselves and on what that looks like. James Lowes hasn't had much game time, so another game under his belt would would certainly help him. Calvin Nash is very inexperienced at this level, so now that the last week is out of the way, he's underway and up and running. So this week would be a different challenge for him. So there's all sorts of things that go into it again, but having Hugo as part of that back three obviously helps those two.
Thanks.
You mentioned the injuries there. Did that play a factor in your thinking for the team, or were you always of a mind to make as many changes as you had?
I knew early doors that they more than likely wouldn't come through those guys, even though we give them chance to be able to do that. So it does tend to shape your mind over the early part of the week of what the combination should look like, and who's gonna benefit from the opportunity to kick the team on, because let's face it, we're a week further down the line, so we need to be better than we was last week.
Was it a tough conversation that you had to have with Kieran Frawley, who obviously was on the bench last week in a 6-2 split and isn't involved this week? What's your thinking?
Well, again, a 6-2 split, I mean, Kieran Frawley, we all know, is ideal to cover off the bench, and not just cover off the bench in his own right, to be able to start a game. I'm sure that he's going to be trying to prove a point within training to be able to do that. But having said that, Harry's been great in training. He was fantastic, I thought, in his last outing for Leinster against Leicester, and he deserves a shot off the bench. So when you've got somebody like Harry who could probably play 10, maybe one other position at a push, it's probably harsh enough to put him out of position at this stage in his international career. So that tends to shape, whether it's Kieran or not really. So, I suppose keeping the competition there with the tens battling it out, and you've got to try and find an opportunity for other people as well.
Kieran?
Just the three players who started the Six Nations game for the first time last week, Jack, Joe and Calvin. What do you think that performance did for their confidence, and have you seen any difference in how they're trying themselves at all this week?
It's been an interesting week because our preparation has been really thorough. We've jumped on the chance on the back of what people perceive to be a good performance and a good win over in France to understand where it is that we need to improve, and those three lads are right at the heart of that, because of course there's going to be plenty to improve on and plenty to bank and say, that was good. How much better can it be? So them understanding how to prepare during a week to start off the Six Nations would have been a daunting enough task to get some proper feedback and understand how they can contribute better towards the team is what this week's been about.
Thanks, Scott. Yep. Yeah.
So, Andy, just one question. What do you make of the Italian lineup, considering that we've lost probably our two best players in Sebastian Negri and Lorenzo Cannone? What are you expecting from Italians? I consider a bad
even though I agree that they've lost some robust players that make the Italian side fierce competitors, I think the people that have come in and the team as a whole is that anyway. I think what we saw, not just last week, but certainly over the last 18 months from the Italian side. I mean, you go back to the first game of last Six Nations against France. They was unlucky to lose that, So I think the fight's always been there. I think what Kieran brought to the setup over the last few years is still banked as far as the nice, attractive attacking rugby with numbers at the line. It caused a lot of trouble last week, as it's done over the last couple of years. But I think with the way that they played the game last week, there's a little bit more pragmatic and less errors, etc., which means that they're going to be hard to beat. There's no doubt about that.